Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you again. Looks like there's some growing tensions in New York City, and it just seems to keep getting worse and worse with the migrant situation. Also, I'm going to show you another clip after this one. Seems like the migrants are getting bold now. Now they're attacking cops in Chicago. As much as 4 migrants, I believe, in 2 days, 2 different incidents. And these are the things that Americans have to deal with. Like I said, born and raised in the Bronx, we've had our share, of migrants coming in and people trying to get, legalized in America and, trying to achieve the American dream. But like I've told a lot of people, this is a different time in history. What's going on in America? It's a way different platform of the way things, are going on and the way people are showing things and all the lies. And I mean, the left has just gone totally off the hook, and they know exactly what they're reaching for, and that's just control and power. But before I continue, I want to thank all my new subscribers and everyone checking out my content. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, hit that notification bell so when I drop a new video you guys can get it. But without further ado, let's check this out and see what they got to say from New York.
Another night of protests at a former Catholic school in Staten Island now being used to house migrants.
Hundreds of people who live near the former St. John Villa Academy are demanding that the city shut it down. Briella Tomasetti at that facility this morning. What's going on, Briella?
Rosanna and Bianca, good morning to both of you. Yeah, a few workers, a van came and dropped them off just a few minutes ago. Security guards are here, cops are here patrolling the scene behind us. Other than that, though, it is relatively quiet, certainly different compared to what was happening here last night. And these protests are pretty much becoming a regular occurrence here now. A lot of back and forth, too, when it comes to the St. John Villa Academy. A Staten Island judge initially ruled that the city could not use it as a shelter. Then the city appealed, having the ruling overturned. And then Republican lawmakers filed a lawsuit to get the shelter shut down. That case is being heard in court today.
It's horrible the way, they're not listening to what the people want. They're picking the migrants over the people in New York, and this is in all the cities, all the major blue cities that's going on. These I tell you, these judges and attorneys and governors and mayors that are doing this to the constituents, you would think that Democratic voters who are now speaking out a lot more, you would think that the people that they're voting for would listen to them. But they're not. They just don't care. Regardless of what the situation is, they just keep pushing back, and they're pushing back on their own constituents. And, I dropped a video yesterday about Eric Adams. Eric Adams has been a total disaster in New York. And so has Kathy Hochul. All of them. AOC, Chuck Schumer, which you haven't really heard much about Chuck Schumer and AOC lately. And that in itself right there is troubling, because that means something's up. That means him and AOC and some other lefties, they're planning something. And they've been pretty quiet. It's either they're hiding from something or they're planning something. I don't put anything past the Democrats these days. But, it's sad the way, a judge says, no, we got to, shut this venue down. It's just not right. And instead of the powers to be leaving it alone, no, they want to fight back. And they want, they want to have appeals and, stuff like that. Totally just disregarding what the people want. If it was the people on their side they wanted it, they're fine with it. But when people band together and say, even their own kind, and say, you know what, I don't want this, they push back on it and they shove it down their throats. But it doesn't surprise me. But let's continue.
It was yet another night of heated protests out on Staten Island. Hundreds of demonstrators marching through the streets armed with megaphones, signs, and American flags.
I realize it's a sanctuary city, but there has to be a limit to our compassion.
The borough has been at the center of the city's migrant crisis since the end of last month, when the Adams administration started to house asylum seekers at St. John Villa Academy. The former Catholic school has been transformed into a 300-bed makeshift shelter and is now the site of rallies often led by the borough's Republican elected officials.
We don't have the infrastructure here. We're not vetting anybody. We don't know if anybody has a criminal background. We don't know what they may have done in their country of origin.
They should be separated from the community until they're properly vetted. And when they're properly vetted, then they can be welcome.
New York has been dealing with an influx of asylum seekers since last spring. More than 107,000 migrants have arrived in the city since the crisis began. 59,000 asylum seekers are currently under the city's care across 200 emergency shelters.
You see, and that right there, it bothers me also. I've been trying to cover this as much as I can this past month. And for them, first they say that there's as much as 1,500 migrants coming a day to New York. So now they're saying that the number now is 100,000 and change. A month ago it was about 100,000. But now they're saying yesterday's news briefing, or 2 days ago, they said it was 60,000. Now they're saying, today, it's 59,000. So they're trying to house them in different parts of the state. Here's my question: where are the other 40,000 or 45,000, plus migrants that they had in New York? Where have they gone? And these are questions that Mayorkas can't answer. Well, I shouldn't say can't answer. He just doesn't want to answer. Biden doesn't want to answer. Whoever's in charge. I mean, you can't get a damn word out of Kamala Harris. I mean, even if you did, I mean, she confused a two-headed snake with what comes out of her mouth. But it's like, okay, you're trying to house 59,000. Where's the rest? And again, they just won't listen. It's not about spreading them out and housing them. It's obvious that people in New York don't want them, in their area. Matter of fact, they don't want them here at all unless they know that they're vetted right and we can get rid of all the criminals, because there are a lot of criminals coming across that border. Donald Trump had it right. Okay? And I don't care what anybody's going to say, because the truth is the truth, and more people on the left are opening up their eyes and they're agreeing. And this whole border crisis was going to affect a certain part of society that, once again, Donald Trump was right. It was going to affect the minority communities. It was going to affect them the most. Okay? And you would think that although a lot of these people, I do believe, are trying to do the right thing by helping others from around the world that that are less fortunate, I get that. But you can't do it at the expense of other people. That is not your right to do that. You care so much, you house them yourself. You take out of your pocket. Why should a taxpayer pay you, okay, to open up an organization, all right, that's going to help illegals come here, break the law, and then you're going to help them and give them more incentives than you're giving the taxpayer? You don't have that right. Nobody has that right. We have laws in place to have people at the border come in the way they're supposed to. Not to have it an open free-for-all. There's a lot more drugs and criminals and just bad elements coming through the border. And once again, I'll say it again. Donald Trump was right. And it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. And he wasn't the only one that was right. He was the only one that had the balls to say it the way it is. But let's continue.
Mayor Adams even clashing with Governor Hochul over the issue, denouncing her stance that the city should limit its movement of migrants to other parts of the state. But they're aligned when it comes to pleading the federal government for more resources, including emergency funding and expedited work permits. Adams told Fox 5 in a statement, "New Yorkers are tired from bearing the brunt of this national crisis, and we empathize with their concerns."
This dude, he is so condescending. I cannot believe he put out this statement. New Yorkers are tired from bearing the brunt of this national crisis. Yes, and they've been saying it from the beginning. You opened up your crooked ass mouth and invited all those people in. And now that it's backfiring on him, now he wants to be condescending, okay, and put out a statement like this. But this is what the Democrats do. This is part of their playbook that a lot more people are waking up to. They start a crisis, they'll blame it on the other side, okay, calling them all different names, and then when the crisis gets out of control, then they want to do something about it so they can look like the saviors. When all they had to do, when all he had to do, and Kathy Holcomb, and the mayor of Chicago, and the mayor of whatever other city, Pennsylvania, Baltimore, wherever they're sending migrants, all they had to do was band together and look at Biden and say, listen, we're on your side, but you cannot open up that border the way you want to. And the reason why all this is blowing back on them so hard, it's because now the truth is coming out of how this would have looked in the red states. But you had people like Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott, and others. They came out and said, no, this is not what we wanted. It's what you wanted. So we're going to give you what you wanted. I still stand firm on the fact that Arizona's governor race was stolen. Okay? And this is why a lot of this is going on. Had Kerry Lake won in Arizona, with Greg Abbott in Texas and Kerry Lake in Arizona, we wouldn't have that many migrants coming in like that. They needed to steal Arizona. So whoever got by Greg Abbott, they can get right through Arizona. But this is what the Democrats wanted. So now you got Texas counties flooded, Arizona counties flooded, New York flooded, Chicago flooded, California flooded. You got all these blue states. Okay? I mean, I'm hearing word from Little Rock. They're coming in droves. And Arkansas is a red state. But Little Rock is run like New York City by the Democrats and is getting out of control. But let's continue.
The sites we are now finding are the only options left. This situation demands a broader state and national solution. The Department of Homeland Security has identified 11 federal sites across New York that can be used to house migrants. Less than 2% of asylum seekers, though, currently in the city's care are being housed out here on Staten Island. That's about 1,200 people. Residents here, of course, though, are pushing for those background checks and even for an 11 o'clock curfew. For now, we're live.
Look at that. So out of the 60,000, 2% are being helped. That's why the streets in Manhattan are lined. They're flooded. They're lined up with people sleeping on the street, taking up hotels, and then they destroy the hotels. They're giving them money left and right. They're giving them all kinds of incentives, and yet they want to pick 11 sites. They couldn't find those sites before to help the less fortunate in New York that pay taxes, to help the homeless people in New York that they need help. But no, they all of a sudden for the Director of Homeland Security, we all know who that is, to find these sites for the migrants. That's what I'm telling you. Whenever there's a Democrat in power, this is when Americans, the true patriots, the true Americans, realize how corrupt their system is. And if you think this is bad, let's take a look at this.
This is Chicago's very own WGN Evening News at 4. Now here at 4 o'clock, more migrants arrive in Chicago as concerns grow over lack of housing and overcrowded police stations. Sources telling WGN several migrants have now been involved in altercations with officers. We begin there this afternoon. Good afternoon to you. I'm Lourdes Duarte.
And I'm Ben Bradley. Thanks for joining us. As many as 4 migrants are now facing criminal charges. They're accused of threatening, even hitting Chicago police officers in the last 2 days.
WGN's Julian Cruz is live at the Harold Washington Library, where he was trying to get answers from the mayor today. Did he have anything to say, Julian?
I'm going to cut that right there, and I'm going to give an answer for the mayor of Chicago. Crickets. You know why? Because if the mayor of Chicago doesn't care about all these flash mobs that are causing chaos, he keeps, telling people not to talk bad about them. Why, oh why, would he say anything about the migrants? I'll tell you why. Because he doesn't care. He's just like Adams in New York. They don't care. But let's continue.
Well, Lourdes, he did not appear here at this event. According to a Chicago Public Library press release, he was scheduled to attend a community event here this afternoon. So far, at least, no sign of the mayor, who has yet to speak out on the matter either to City Hall beat reporters or in a written statement.
I'm sorry to cut it off so quickly. It's only a short video anyway, but it doesn't surprise me that he won't. He doesn't listen to the citizens that are complaining about all the violence that's going on. He doesn't listen to the citizens, excuse me, when they're complaining about the flash mobs that are destroying businesses. He didn't listen to the citizens when they were saying that all these migrants were breaking laws and committing crimes right in the middle of the street, doing drugs, carrying guns and all that. Didn't do nothing about that. And he's not going to say nothing about the cops. How this man can look in the mirror and say he's the mayor. So right now he's losing support from his constituents. He's definitely going to lose support from the police now. Okay? But he's also now emboldening the illegals, not all of them, just a bad element, to commit crimes. Because he's justifying the regular citizens, making it seem like it's okay for them to commit crimes. And now, instead of him showing face and saying, wait a minute, hold on 1 second, we open the doors to you, you can't be doing this, especially to our law enforcement, he's a no-show. Another coward. But let's continue.
12th District Chicago police officers about 6:20 this morning dealing with an increasingly tense situation, taking 2 alleged offenders into custody, police sources identifying the offenders as migrants. News Affairs calling the individuals in question offenders. The first individual allegedly taking property from the district, attempting to flee, we're told, while a second migrant allegedly battered a responding officer who sustained minor injuries, police say, transported to an area hospital in good condition.
The police need to feel secure in doing their jobs. They need to feel secure in the space that they're in.
Vice Mayor and 27th Ward Alderman Walter Burnett reacting to the alarming news, though he's not familiar with the details, he says. Others at City Hall expressing concern.
I think what we're seeing is a decrease in the conditions at the police districts. We're now at nearly 2,000 individuals across the 22 districts across the city of Chicago, and we are losing control.
2 other violent or threatening incidents reported yesterday involving 12th District migrants, according to sources, raising concern about what appears to be an untenable situation.
Look at those sleeping conditions, man. It's a disservice to humanity the way these woke judges and DAs and mayors and governors and all these people, these organizations. And you know what? And I'm going to point out one thing. Okay? Because they're not untouchable. But a lot of these religious groups that are for this, that are helping this happen, you're guilty also. You're guilty also. And I'll tell you why. Okay, I do believe that God wants us to help each other. I truly believe that we're supposed to help each other. But if you don't have the means to help these migrants through your religious organization, are you really helping or are you part of the problem? Because you're putting the strain on other innocent people. So where do you come off thinking that what you're doing is right? Because the same way I'm going to blame the politicians, I'm going to blame everybody else along that. Because it's a disservice to let these people come in, sell them a song and dance, and then have them sleeping on concrete floors, men, women, and children, and you have nowhere to put them. You know why? This is all blowing up in their faces? Because you didn't care about the people in your house first. And you went and took in a total stranger and put them ahead of the people in your house. And a house divided cannot stand. Remember that. But let's continue.
Trouble starting 9:45 yesterday morning. Juan Marquez Viena, 20 years of age, arrested and charged, according to News Affairs. Viena now facing 1 misdemeanor count of criminal trespass to property and 1 misdemeanor count of assault. About 4 hours later, more tensions. Ana Rondon, 20 years of age, arrested and charged with 1 misdemeanor count of battery against a 12th district officer. We tried several times today to reach Mayor Brandon Johnson for comment. Aldermen we talked to anxious to hear a more detailed...
Look at this. Taxpayer money. All these seats should be full talking about this. This guy looks bored. These two, who knows what they're sharing on their cell phone. I mean, these three just sitting there waiting. You know, and it, I hate saying it this way, because you hear it a lot. This is what you voted for. That phrase is losing its luster because more people on the left are waking up now. They're like, wait a minute, we did vote, but this is not exactly what we voted for. So I'll sympathize with them because it's true. You know, you put your trust in somebody you vote for and say, okay, you know what, but it's just overdue that people start waking up and realizing, listen, you listen to the media, you listen to all the crooked politicians on the left, the crooked ones on the right, the rhinos. They sold you a song and dance. They got your vote. Everybody partied. We're happy now because, you know, Orange Man bad, you know. And yet, then they turn around and they smile at you with the back of their teeth like a crocodile and say, well, it's too late. I got the vote. Now you can't kick me out. Now you're going to have to deal with it. And this is what you get. This is what you get. And this is not an open forum. This is an open, empty room. I mean, for even these few people to be there, why should anybody show up at all if nobody's going to take it serious? But let's continue.
Plan to address what many, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, has called a long-term crisis. Now, migrants at the 12th District talking to us off camera, and they say starting after Labor Day, they were woken up at 5 a.m. and they say that they were forced to leave the building with their belongings standing out on the sidewalk for hours. And they say that when they went back into the building, that there was no discernible sign that there had been any sort of cleaning at all.
You see what they're doing to them? It's a disservice to humanity, man. You open the borders, you know for a fact. You know, these politicians, they know for a fact. They know the numbers. They know that Biden's full of shit. He hasn't invented more jobs. He hasn't done nothing for the economy but spend. Raise up taxes and spend all that money. So you lie to them. And the truth of the matter is, the reason why they're doing this, they're trying to change the demographics of the country. They know that they're losing year after year. They're losing more people from the Democrats that are flipping over either independent or to the Republican Party. They know they're losing the black vote. They know they're losing the Latino vote. So what do they want to do? Bring in as many immigrants as you can. It's fishing, man. Throw your rod into that, into that pool of fish. You're lucky if you snag one to vote for you. It's disgusting. Because then you'll snag up that one, okay, while the rest get away, and then what do you do with the rest? Oh, you make them fend for themselves. You make them sleep on concrete. You wake them up at 5 in the morning, go outside, do this, do that, but yet you've done nothing for them. If Americans here are homeless, if they haven't reached the American dream, why would you flood the country with more people that have less? Because you're crooked and you're evil, that's why. But I'm True Outlaw Patriot. Hope you like the content. Please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, pass it around, hit that notification button, and as always, stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Peace.